Starting things off right this morning, got some French toast. There we go. That's like dessert for breakfast. French toast, bananas. We have this awesome spruce tip syrup, a little whipped cream, and some cinnamon on top. We're going to enjoy this breakfast and get started on the day.
Well, breakfast was lovely. We have had the pleasure of having French toast 2 mornings in a row now, and I had told Eric I wanted them. I don't think we've had French toast or made it in years, so it was delicious. And we're moving on to some eggs. We went on a recent salmon fishing trip, so we have a whole bunch of salmon eggs that we saved, and I have got to get these processed because they don't store well. So we're going to be making some caviar. We're going to be brining them in salt water today and eating them over the next week. So this is what they look like straight out of the fish. They each have 2 sacs, I believe, and there's a little bit of a membrane on the outside, and there is also some tissue, we'll call it, on the inside too, kind of connecting the individual eggs. This process is a little tedious. We pretty much do it every year, and it is worth it. Once you get the hang of it, it's really not that hard. It's just 10 minutes of washing them in really hot water and then kind of draining it, getting some of the skin out or the membrane, and then doing the same thing, repeat until you get them to the cleanliness that you want. Well, we're about 5 minutes in, and that's what things are looking like. So we've got most of the outer sac off, but there's still like little membranes on each egg. And this part takes a little bit of effort. So I just have been kind of like putting more hot water, and then I'll strain a little bit out. You want to keep the water really warm. That's what makes them easier to clean. You can tell the water is super oily, and that color comes off into the water, that salmon color, which is pretty neat. These are some of the skins that I pulled off, and you can see that some of the eggs are still attached. So just expect that you're not going to get every single egg. You will have some of them go down the drain, some of them may pop on you, and you can't clean every single one of them. Okay, that was the final rinse. That took me a very long time, over 20 minutes. It's a lot of eggs that we're cleaning, and they look absolutely lovely. You could spend all day probably getting every little white piece out, but I'm calling this good. We're gonna set them aside and go ahead and mix up our salt brine and get them brining. So this part is really neat. You're gonna actually see the color change. The eggs were cloudy from heating them up, and they will go back to that really gorgeous salmon color. We're gonna let it go for probably about 5 minutes. We have half a cup of salt to 3 cups of very cold ice water. I did dissolve the salt. It's sea salt in some hot water first though. And we've got some ice cubes in here just to keep things cold. You can go saltier by letting them sit longer, or you can go less salty if you just pull them out a little bit sooner. So we're gonna strain them and get them in some jars, and then we can look forward to eating them.
Well, it's been about a week since we have worked out here on the slab, and tomorrow is the big day. So we have the concrete trucks coming. We have 7 trucks coming, 10 yards each. That's 70 yards of concrete. It is going to be a heck of a workout. So we've got about 5 friends coming to help us, and over the last 2 days we've actually been out here just tightening things up, doing a lot of measuring and doing a few other things. Let's go check it out. I was able to pick up this screed, and this is a vibrating power screed, they call it. I ordered this about a month ago from Home Depot, and it wasn't coming in. They finally called me. They got it in just in time, so this is going to be a pretty cool tool to use. We'll see how this thing goes. Also, one of the bigger things that we did was I don't want to say finished, but we kind of like redid our entire drain over here in the center. This is the new drain, so we went a little bigger with it. We were kind of concerned with how I had it built that it wasn't going to have enough of a lip of concrete once we took these wooden forms out. So the drain's completely new. It's a little bigger. We also had to completely re-level it. We put the 2x4s on the side, and that made our slab 1.5 inches thicker, or brought it up 1.5 inches. So we had to re-level the drain. It's absolutely perfect now. It's really solid. We're actually going to be screeding off this drain when we get to the center. So a couple other things we have going on out here. The PEX is doing really well. So it held 60 psi for 24 hours. I dropped it down to about 40, and it held that for like a week and a half. I just let the air out, so we're good to go on the PEX. We don't have any leaks. I've also tied it all up over there, got it out of the way. All the connections now where it goes into the slab are completely tight, so they're not going to move on us. We have put pipe tape around all of our pipes where they're going to be meeting the concrete. We did have a little bit of sagging on the keyways, and those are right here. These are like the troughs that are going to hold the Quonset hut, and they're basically suspended out here off of the forms and some stakes. So we had to go around with the laser level. We had to do this whole side and bring it up. I think we brought this one like almost 1 inch up. Same on that side. We have everything like good. So I think we're within like 1/4 inch is like the biggest difference in some of these forms, which is awesome. I'm totally okay with that. We brought out the tractor and we did a lot of leveling over here. So these concrete trucks are like massive. They have a big tag axle on the back, and they need a lot of room. So we cut in this huge area on this side of the pad, and we did another area over on that side. I'm excited for this pour. Luckily, some of our friends that are coming up here have concrete experience, a lot more than us. So I think we got this. I'm confident in us. It's gonna be a lot of hard work. I'm not sure if we're gonna be filming it or not. We're all gonna be in there working, but the truck is coming at 9 a.m. tomorrow. Wish us luck.
Good morning, it is concrete day. Eric is outside shuffling some vehicles around. He's getting some air back in the PEX. He wanted to do that last minute, and I am in here cooking up some breakfast burritos. Our friends are coming over, and we're gonna get to work. Hopefully all goes well. I'm not gonna lie, I've got some major anxiety going on right now.
Yeah, that's probably good.
on there.
Yeah, we have to hold it. Yeah, but she's got limbs. Oh, yeah.
Okay, someone gotta scrape that out. Scrape that out.
Get it straight up and we'll lay on top. There you go. Just don't be able to hit the middle. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, that'll work. Sand it down and smooth it, but I think we're gonna do really nice.
We all have concrete on our face, I've noticed. Like concrete all over us. If you ever wanted, you could build a little metal edge that went up. It's been 2 days since we had our concrete poured and we have had nothing but rain. We got very lucky on the concrete day itself, but we've got a sunny day now, so we're gonna head over and show you how it turned out. But first we are feeding the dogs breakfast, and then we have to head over and feed the chickens breakfast and let them out. So this is what the soup looks like that we made for them. It is just carcasses, the heads and tails boiled down for a tremendously long time, and it is uber rich and they like it. Can you film that one's hairy feet? Well, you can probably tell everyone is happy and healthy in here, and they ate and ran out for the day. The young little baby chicks have grown up quite a bit. I think they're probably around 3 weeks old. So at this point, they are starting to be pretty independent from their moms. They don't actually hang out with them all day. They go out and frolic and do whatever they're gonna do for the day, and then they come back at night They're still sleeping with the moms, I'm pretty sure, but at some point what happens is the moms will roost and the babies will not really be able to like roost underneath them anymore. So there will be this separation, and that's kind of starting to happen right now. We've got a nice blend of roosters and hens. I don't know if it's 50-50, but I could definitely tell we have a lot of both of them. There's been quite a bit of the full circle of life, I'm gonna call it, in here. We lost a rooster to a fox not that long ago. There was no breach in the fence. It actually happened outside of the fence. And we had to cull 2 different hens, one for like a temperament issue and one for sickness. We gained another hen that some folks were looking to rehome, and now we have the 34 chicks. So 2 of them didn't make it past the first week, which that happens, but we've got 34 really healthy babies now. And those are going to be able to grow our flock since we have had so many losses this year, and we kind of have smaller amount of adult birds. But that's just chicken keeping. So it's really, right now, everything's joyous and lovely, and we're going to head over and check out the concrete. Well, here it is. We got it done, and we did not run short.
No, we didn't. We over-ordered, which was what we wanted.
When we did the math for this, we upped everything, all of our measurements for the slab and the footers. We even kind of put some big rocks in the footers since they were a little bit deep. And when we did our math, what was it saying? Like 66 to 67 yards.
Yeah, that's what the number we came up with was. So we ordered 70 yards of concrete, and we used like at exactly 66 yards.
It was kind of hard to tell the day of the concrete. Everything was just happening so fast, but I think we used about 68. We had a little bit of spare for some other forms,
right,
and they did have to dump just a teeny tiny bit, maybe half a yard or so.
Yeah, they come from so far away that they can't take the extra concrete back with them. So we had a big ditch dug for a clean out station for him. So when he dumped out the rest, I think it was like maybe a yard of concrete, maybe not even. It wasn't that much. So 66 yards is over 200,000 pounds of concrete. It's impressive.
Concrete day was crazy. The drivers and the company, everything went pretty smooth with that. I will say everything like just all of a sudden happened. Like 3 drivers were here at once.
Yeah.
And it feels like I had thought it was going to be an 8-hour shift for people. That's what I was telling our friends. And it turns out, I mean, I didn't time it and I didn't even look at the time till the afternoon, but what, 4 hours?
4 to
till the last driver poured or something?
Yeah, 5 hours I think we had this thing done, and we had the tarps on it. So it went a lot faster too than I expected. When we first started pouring the concrete, that first truck got here, I don't know, I kind of lost confidence because it was so big, and they emptied a whole 10-yard truck and it was like nothing in this slab. And we started in that corner over there, and that was the deepest corner, the deepest part of our slab. The slab wasn't perfectly 6 inches all the way around, and the footer was a little deeper over there. And it was rough.
Once we got about halfway through, I think we knew. We were pretty confident we ordered enough. And it did get a little close near the end. So it was a little bit of a concern since we have run short.
Yeah, it was hard. We did that sawmill slab and we felt like we knew what we were doing and we had confidence. But going into this one, as soon as we started, it was Errol and I, all of our friends, as hard as we could work the whole entire time straight. It was pretty intense.
So we originally were just going to have some friends come up, one group of friends come up to help us. We decided last minute that we needed another group. We all got together. Our friends traveled from pretty far distance to help us. And I kid you not, the day of it, we were busting our behinds. This was like hard work. And if it felt like when we were in it, one person, I mean, we would have been like totally screwed, like, because every single person was so helpful and like just fully doing a job. 7 people? 8. We had 8. 7
people. One person was kind of more directing trucks and telling them where to go. Then we had what, 6 people in here working? 7 people in here working?
We had 7 people in here working, but really 8 altogether. So it took every single person to do a job. And even then, I want to say we really probably could have even used a few more additional hands, because the next day all of us were like dying from being sore.
Yeah, I'm still recovering. It was gnarly, and we're not professionals, but I'm super proud with how this thing turned out. None of our other friends are professionals too. A couple of them do have a little bit of concrete experience. So we have trowel marks. We have some areas that are a little bit higher. We got some areas where the cream, we kind of couldn't get it out of the center and it's set up. We're going to take care of that a little bit later on. We're going to be renting a piece of equipment to kind of grind it down and smooth it out.
We both said that today, if we can get the concrete on the ground and have it just like semi-level in a square, we were going to be happy, you know, like if we didn't run out. And I really think that's actually what happened. I know we're both pretty stoked.
I agree, but that goes back to having more people. I feel like if we had 1 or 2 more people that were really good with finishing work, we could have had a little bit better of a finish, but I'm impressed that we did it.
Eric had previously cleared the space, so there was no issues with the trucks getting stuck or having space. I mean, ideally they probably could have had a little more, but it worked out really well. They were able to get really close to the forms, and we really needed that because this is almost 40 inches wide, and there's 40 feet wide, and their chutes can only go a fraction of that in. So what we really had to do that was very challenging was like drag all that concrete to meet up in the middle. And that, I feel like that was definitely a huge challenge. Once we got things going, once the first 3 trucks really poured, we kind of got a better flow in here. But there was some issues of like things drying a little quicker and some things being poured a little wetter. And I think that ultimately really did influence our finish. Everyone there had some concrete experience, but not, you know, we're not professionals by any means. So of course, I think the finish kind of reflects that. It's definitely something cosmetic that we can fix. So I'm not too concerned about it. Everything's level in the forms. We didn't have a blowout and we didn't run short.
Oh, the forms held so well. I was really impressed. Once we started pouring concrete in there, they just kind of went up against the earth. We were using almost like the foam board insulation as our form. Nothing moved. It held the concrete. The pipes are looking good.
The troughs worked out really well.
The troughs worked out awesome. They didn't float up. They didn't go down. I mean, the form work turned out awesome on it.
Yeah, one of our friends, well, it took kind of team effort, but really one person was responsible for doing that. And you would shovel the concrete in, kind of like get rid of the voids, and then smooth it out. That took one full person to do that. Two people, really.
It did, yeah.
I'm not sure if the power screed helped us. We kind of used a combo of power screeding and manual screeding.
Once you actually had the power screed on the ground and you were like pulling back, it did a really nice job. You could tell a big difference between the finish of that and just using a 2x4. But the power screed is pretty heavy, and when you're kind of like walking it through concrete to get it to where it needs to go, and you're already tired, and then you get an accumulation of more concrete on it, I swear at one point that thing probably weighed like 100 pounds, and I'm trying to just like push it through, and our friends are trying to do it. But it did work. I do think we could have gotten away on this project without it though. We got really lucky when it comes to weather because it was pouring rain like 2 days before the trucks were gonna get here. And then the next 2 days it was like 75, 80 degrees. It dried everything out completely. Then the trucks arrived.
It was supposed to rain the day and the night that we finished concrete pouring, but we got, I don't know, it just didn't really rain. And that's why you saw us tarp everything, because we were being precautious. But it did actually rain the next day. It rained pretty good yesterday as well, so everything's dry now in here, so it's really not a problem if it rains anymore. I feel like Eric and I knew what we were getting into when we signed up for this, but when we actually went to pour and went through the process, it was quite a bit more grueling than I expected, and it definitely demanded far more people's help than I really knew. I didn't quite know what we were going to be asking people of, and they really pulled through and gave it their all, like 200% that day.
Yeah.
And this pad would not be here if it weren't for the help of those friends for us. And that's really the only way we were gonna get this pad done and this foundation done for the Quonset hut, because if we were gonna have this professionally done, we'd be looking at like double the cost, and that's just not really feasible for us. So I'm still really happy that it's done and it's over and everything's in there. And we honestly don't even really have to worry about it anymore, right?
Yep, huge thank you to the friends that came out here to help us, and all of our hard work. Everything we put in here, the insulation, the vapor barrier, the rebar, the packs, the footers, they're all disappeared now. They're under the slab.
Yeah, I'm glad it didn't literally disappear. It's still here, but
yeah. There's more to come on this thing. Obviously, this is just the beginning. I mentioned we're gonna grind down some of the concrete. We're gonna stain it. We gotta do relief cuts. We have to put the Quonset hut up.
A lot more to do.
A ton of things. So we did end up with some extra concrete. We actually had an extra amount dropped in the forms here. We were using a laser level the whole way to kind of get this thing level, and at the end we were like, okay, we got too much concrete in here, so we had to pull a bunch out on the front. But luckily this time we were able to use some extra forms that we made, and we're gonna go check those out next. Oh, so this is it. This is extra form number 1, and this is a smasher, a compactor, a seat, a barricade, anything we want to use it for. So these are 2x12s, and I think this is 6 feet by 2 feet. I've got a couple pieces of rebar in here. We got one here, one on the other side. Those are going to be to grab this thing with the tractor, and I'm not even sure how much this weighs or if the tractor can lift it. So let's take the forms off, and we'll see if we can lift her up. Dang it, it almost popped. Yeah, dang, it actually looks pretty nice.
Wow.
That's actually a pretty nice edge on that thing. That looks like that was about maximum capacity. So this tractor, they say it can lift 2,700 pounds at the pins, which is like at the back of the fork. So that's pretty much where I had this. So I would say that's well over 2,000 pounds. We have one other one we made over by the house. This one's gonna be pretty cool. This is the one we were hoping to make last time when we poured the sawmill slab, but we didn't have enough concrete. So when the rain comes off our roof, it goes down and it hits our propane tank right here, and it splashes back on the house. You can see there's kind of like a lighter color right there. That's from the water hitting here and then hitting the house. So we wanted to move the propane tanks over the back side of the house, and we poured this really nice slab, and one of our friends that helped us, she did like this whole thing, smoothed it out nice and perfect. This one looks really good. It looks like I got to pick up that side a little with the tractor, and we got to level it off, but this one we're really excited about. Let's take the forms off this one.
This one turned out perfect.
This one turned out really nice. Look at how wet it is still under there.
It's still
You
carrying.
can actually see like water.
Well,
Still
look at how
carrying.
smooth it is.
That's crazy. So that's what our concrete pad looks like on the inside.
That's probably good. Yeah. It'll settle.
Well, this only weighs maybe 200 pounds.
Yeah, I don't think it's
And then if you can only put 100 gallons of propane in there. Just got back from filling up our tank. This is a 120 gallon tank, I believe. We fit 107 gallons in it. Propane up here right now is $3.14 a gallon if you go pick it up. If they deliver it, it's a little more. So I thought that was not a bad price, but it's a little heavier now. We got our tractor ready. We're gonna lift it up and see if we can bring it over there. Our pad, or our little concrete slab, we lifted it up and we got it nice and level. And I believe I got everything I needed to extend the length of this hose. We had about a 3-foot section on it. We need to go about 10 feet. Let's get her over there and see if we can get her hooked back up.
You have to set it down really gentle.
Where do you want it, like on the center? All we did here was connect this 10-foot hose here, and this is apparently one that you can bury underground, but this is what they had. And we connected this to the original hose, and we got a new adapter here, and everything should be good to go. These are opposite threads on this propane tank, so you got to twist it lefty to tighten it. Reverse threads? I don't know what they call it. So on this hose, now we have a quick disconnect. So next time we bring that in, I don't have to unscrew anything. I can just disconnect here and go get our tank filled up. Let's turn it on, and I'm gonna get some soapy water, and I'm gonna go over all the connections and make sure we don't have any gas leaks, and we should be good.
Eric.
Well, that didn't go as planned at all. So this hose pretty much blew up. That was pretty crazy. So we bought this hose, and it says 12-foot natural / propane gas assembly. And looking at this, it says that for use with system not to exceed half of a PSI. So that's really low PSI. And we looked up propane. I think propane goes at like 350 PSI. So this hose did not take it. And apparently what you're supposed to have is a regulator before it goes into this hose to limit the PSI. Our regulator is over here, after the hose. So I'm guessing that the hose that this house came with, which is this black one right here, is like a strictly propane hose. Yeah, it says 350 psi, so that's propane, and then it goes into the regulator. So what we'll have to do next time we go to Fairbanks is we'll have to buy a strictly propane hose, like another 10-foot section. So that's unfortunate. We have to take the propane tank off the stand, and we got to put it back in its old place for now.
Okay.
Well, thankfully we have a small propane tank that still had some propane left in it, so we're going to leave the big one where it's at. We'll run off that small one until we can get to the parts to get the big one hooked back up. But we busted out our old school washing machine. So this is a wringer washer, and this is a Montgomery Ward. I forget how old this one is, but it's got some age to it. And we got this from some friends of ours. I mean, it's been a while. I think we've had it for like a year and a half, and it needed some repairs. I fixed it. We used it quite a few times. It works really good for large items, and this wringer, I mean, this thing is impressive. It can suck pretty much like anything through it and just get like a lot of the water out. We have a handheld one. That one doesn't work very well at all, but this one's got like a gear-driven motor down on the bottom. I can show you. This is one of the repairs I had to make to it. The shaft down in there, it's probably gonna be kind of hard to see, but it was completely missing. So I welded a piece of iron in there, and it goes in here, and that's what kind of cranks the little wringer up here. So it's got a forward, it's got a reverse for if you get stuck. It's got the big agitator in here. You fill it up with water. We installed a hot water spigot on the outside of the house, so now we can do hot water in here. And we're gonna plug it in. We're gonna see how it goes. I know one of the switches on here was a little bit sticky, but let's see if we can get it going, and Ariel can do some laundry for us. So I think everything's working. So you got your backwards, or that's your forward on the wringer, so that'll suck your clothes through and it'll take your water that squeezes out and it'll put it back in the washing machine. You got backwards, that's working. And when this is full of water and you're like done, or you want to put new water, you go to the pump, and there's no water in there now, but you hit the pump on and the water will come out of here. That's working. And then you have your agitator, which is right here, and that's working.
All right, this machine is rocking and rolling today. I did myself a little bit of a disservice by not cleaning my concrete overalls the day of concrete pouring. It's been a few days and I didn't even soak them or anything, so I'm trying some tactics. They say that if you soak them in vinegar, I think that's what I'm gonna have to do. I've already done that, but they still have a little bit more cleaning to go. This machine's perfect for doing dirty clothes that I don't want to do inside with our little miniature portable washing machine, which I absolutely love. I'm sure you already know that. And I absolutely love this washer wringer too. When Eric and I first moved to Alaska, we were looking for these because we were off grid and we thought it'd be like a great solution for laundry. They're a serious machine and they are seriously hard to find here. So we totally were thrilled when our friend was willing to give this one to us and Eric repaired it and got it going. It's been super useful. Last summer we used it pretty much outside for like rags, anything too big and bulky and too dirty. So like hunting clothes or fishing waders, stuff like that. I couldn't even fit it inside in my other washer. And the setup here, this is our first time doing it, but it's awesome because we have the hot water outside. before we were having to bring hot water from indoors and put it in 5-gallon buckets and dump it in here. So it's so convenient. The only downside is you obviously cannot use this in winter because it would freeze immediately. But I really have no problem using our indoor machine, and I have no problem using this one. I'm thrilled about both of them. I get excited to do laundry. These do such a fantastic job cleaning, and the wringer is awesome too. So I'm gonna have to unfortunately clean those a little bit more. And I'm gonna get started on some rags or dog blankets. I think we have a bunch of those to do today. When I wash stuff outside here, I typically don't use just our normal homemade laundry detergent, which is borax, super washing soda, and some soap grated up. And then I also use OxiClean. I have to use stuff a little bit stronger because I find that doesn't work well enough on the things that are very soiled. So I bring in the big guns. I have some like commercial laundry detergent that I bring in, and I also use vinegar too on stuff like this. It just helps it be a little bit cleaner. I think I'm gonna go run and grab those blankets and get back to work, and hopefully we'll be done soon.
Oh my gosh.
They're heavy. We're moving along. We are going to be doing a bee check. Somehow the day has kind of gotten away from me, but I need to do it because it's swarm season. It's been 2 weeks since I checked them, and I definitely need to make sure that they have not swarmed or they're not planning on swarming. I just wanted to show you this beautiful area. There is a bunch of fireweed here. I really don't know why. There's a bunch of fireweed and raspberries, wild raspberries. So it's absolutely beautiful. The bees love it. There's a bunch of native pollinators, and then the potatoes are doing really good since the last time I showed you. So they're pretty tall. And the grasshoppers like them. I see a bunch of grasshoppers in there. I'm not sure why there's so many grasshoppers. They seem to like the potatoes a lot, and they are flowering. We're clearly not hilling our potatoes this year. We're just doing a real like no maintenance type growing. So they're just in here. They're protected from the chickens. Thankfully, no other animals have messed with them, and we're just gonna let them be, and we'll dig them up this fall. We've got our smoker going. I haven't had to use it too much this season, but I'm using it now because this hive is huge, and I have to do a pretty thorough check, and they also despise my dress for some reason. So this is a cool hack. I just tried it for the first time last time. I've been told for years to try putting like a rag or burning like jeans for the bees to smoke them. And it is so much better than burning wood. So I'm really glad that we finally tried it. Oh yeah, they're building comb. Seems like they're just working on this one right now. So far there's not much on this top box. This is supposed to be their honey super, so where they're going to store their honey as it comes in from the environment. I'm not sure they're really pulling that much yet. We've had some rainstorms, which is good. I hope that they are able to find more nectar, but they're definitely working away. And I found a queen cup on this top box, but it's not, there's no eggs in it, so that's good. So we've got more honey in the next box, and they're starting to store it or cap it. It's a lot darker because it's now doesn't have as much water in it, and they're also eating it too. So I'm gonna put this one back. Usually the frames on the edge of the box are honey, and then as we work our way to the inside, it's more brood or eggs. Well, that's good news. We found a brood finally, but we also found eggs. So the eggs had to be laid within the last 3 days, which means that the queen is most likely in there. That's pretty neat. That's a worker bee chewing herself out. Fun fact, the lady bees do not need help getting out of their comb or the cell, and the male bees, the drones, do. Those are the big chunky guys walking around in there, and those ones are chewed out by the worker bees. Pretty neat. We found the queen bee. So good news. They have not swarmed. She's still in there. I think things look good. I've got to look at the other boxes, and then if everything looks good, we're just going to close them up. Before the queen's not in there. Roll in too. Back this way too, a little bit. There you go. Beautiful. Perfecta. I opted to put some pollen in there because I didn't really find that much, and I don't know. I just wanted to add some in, see if they want it. It looks like they do want it. So we're gonna get these closed up. We did a little switching of one of the bottom boxes, brought it up top, but everything else looks really awesome. And Eric and I are hungry, so we're gonna run inside and we're gonna make something and try that caviar that we made the other day. We're whipping up some homemade crackers, and it is a really simple recipe. It is flour, flaxseed meal, a whole bunch of seeds and grains, and then we also added some spices. I'm gonna add some chopped garlic, water, and olive oil, get it all mixed up, and we're gonna get it in the oven. I will include the recipe in the description if you're interested. Pretty excited to try these. Wow. The generator's on, the crackers are in the oven. They've got to bake for about 20-25 minutes or so. And I counted, it's 9 grains in there. Pretty cool stuff. And I did add some of our sourdough starter to the mix. We are going to be straining our spruce tip syrup that we made probably about a month ago, and it looks lovely. We've already strained one of the jars, one of the brown sugar ones, and then we have the normal cane sugar, and then we've got the brown sugar right here. So we're going to strain them. I'll probably lightly heat them up just to mix the sugar on the bottom into the syrup, and I'm going to be putting them out in the freezer since I don't really have time to can these. Our crackers are done, and they are delicious. They're probably the best cracker I've ever had. They remind me of those little like rice seeded crackers that you can buy at the store, but these are they're out of this world. They're way more flavorful. And it is 10:30 p.m. Believe it or not, we are headed out on the deck. It's a beautiful night. This is our appetizer for dinner. So we're gonna grab our caviar. We're gonna break up some of these crackers, and we're gonna head outside. Tell you what, the cracker's good.
Those are pretty salty eggs. I could take a little saltier, probably.
Doesn't it taste like a store-bought cracker or something? The consistency's really good.
Very good cracker. Fancy. It's like 72 or 73, but it was hot.
I thought it was 80.
No, I don't think it got to 80.
Oh, not really hot there.
All right, I gotta go inside and start Sam.
Okay.
Thank you.